Thanks, Councillor. I would like to echo the 75% of the poll at the weekend in saying that this budget was an attempt to buy the next election. This budget was a giveaway budget to hide from the electorate that you have given up on making any real or structural change in the country. You ignored calls for targeted relief from across civil society, across the Dáil, and most importantly, from people living in poverty, deprivation and on low pay and fixed incomes. I have no problem with universal cost of living payments to help everyone make ends meet. People will welcome it. They want to get over the hump. Christmas is coming. But when you make those payments without any real investment in services or any targeted relief for those who need it, you leave people further behind in the long run. This budget put the electoral chances of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael ahead of the most vulnerable in our society. And this bill is typical of a budget that ignored those who most needed help. We needed a targeted effort to get help to those on the sharp end of struggling to afford energy costs and fuel poverty. We needed a state-led campaign to retrofit those houses of those who can't afford it. We needed permanent changes to social welfare schemes to guarantee nobody experiences energy poverty. You failed to make those changes because time and time again you've proven that you're ideologically incapable of intervening in the economy in a structural way. You throw money at voters and hope the market will sort out everything in the end. And that belief has proven wrong time and time again. That belief is why this country's housing, health and public services are in the state they are. Energy poverty has experienced some of the worst energy prices for years now. In 2019, Ireland was in the top 5 countries for energy hikes. By 2022, we had 377,415 people unable to keep their homes warm, 453,918 who had gone without heating, and 469,218 people in utility arrears. The SRI estimated that 29% of the country experienced energy poverty in 2022, and St Vincent de Paul estimated that could peak at over 40% of the country experiencing energy poverty. And while vulnerable people were unable to heat their homes, pay their bills or keep themselves warm, giant energy companies made tens of billions in profits. While Irish household energy costs rose at twice the rate of the EU average, in 2022, ESB profits rose by 679 million, Bord Gáis's profits rose by 948 million, SSE's rose by 1.5 billion, and Energia's by 178 million. That is nearly £9,000 in profits for every person who was unable to keep their houses warm across just 4 energy companies. On top of energy poverty, the budget did nothing to make any real state intervention for people experiencing deprivation or poverty. Deprivation rates are going up. More than 559,800 people are living in poverty, of which 176,900 are children. Those people needed targeted help. Instead, we've seen successive budgets which failed to keep social welfare and pensions in line with inflation, and further, it is now clear that your government has broken your promise on implementing a living wage by 2026. Ireland has some of the highest instances of low pay in the EU. This government's failure to implement its own policies on the living wage and your insistence on maintaining a voluntarist system of labour relations will make that worse. It will make in-work poverty worse. This is a budget that prioritises votes over people struggling to make ends meet. If you do not make targeted and permanent increases once the once-off payments are gone, many people are left further behind. I raised this 2 weeks ago. The household benefit energy payments had not increased for 4 years. It now barely covers the standing charges. That is 4 years of some of the sharpest energy price increases eaten into a vital lifeline for people. You again failed to extend the fuel allowance to those on the working family payment, and that is something we've been calling for time and time again. I know you have increased the budget for social housing retrofitting, but my colleague on Dublin City Council, Councillor Pat Dunn, with 13 years experience dealing with the maintenance and regeneration of social housing, just can't see how an extra 90 million will retrofit 250,000 social homes next year. Ultimately, you have also failed to reform your retrofitting plan, which leaves thousands of people living in social housing waiting years for improvements, and leaves those on low pay or renting almost completely out.